What's up everyone, welcome to your second Blender tutorial. Now I would have made this sooner, but I was actually playing Scrabble for the last 10 minutes and how can I say this so that you would understand? I got pwned and I was on beginner, so that's embarrassing. So I decided to give up Scrabble and start making tutorials, so let's do that. Alright. So we got through tutorial 1, installing Blender, and now we have Blender open in the second tutorial. And in case you didn't remember, don't close your DOS box or else the program will close. Now, the first thing we need to do is learn what all this crap is, what all these buttons and words and fancy symbols mean. So let's get right into it. Well, the main part of your screen is where you view your 3D object. And yes, there's actually a 3D object here. We're just looking at it from the direct top. This is actually a box, but when you look at something from the direct top, especially a box, it looks 2D. So the first thing we want to learn how to do is navigate around and view our objects in different ways. One of the most common things we're going to learn how to do is zoom. We're going to be doing that a lot, zooming. So what you need to do is click somewhere in here, and with your scroll wheel, your middle mouse button, just roll it in and out. When you roll it towards you, it zooms out. When you roll it in, it zooms in. Not that complicated. So after that, I guess another common thing you're going to do is want to rotate this. So let me prove to you guys that this is 3D. In your middle mouse button, then when you just scrolled, click it and hold it down. And then when you turn it like this, and my middle mouse button is held down right now, you can begin to see the 3D of it. So rolling zooms it out, and holding it down and turning rotates it, just like that. So now we know how to zoom and also rotate. What else can we do? Well, this isn't really a common one that you guys are going to be using a lot, but if you hold down shift and click with your wheel in the middle, same button we've been using, and drag it, it pans instead of rotating or zooming. So again, that shift and drag with your wheel, and that's called panning. It pretty much is like taking it with your hand and moving it to the side. So again, that's not like frying pan, that's like moving it, like a camera pan. So don't get confused by that. So aside from the different ways we can move this around or look at it, there are two different views that we're going to be using commonly, and that's the solid right here, and we can also view the borders by pressing Z on our keyboard. So go ahead and press Z on your keyboard and look what happens. You get this, which is called the wireframe mode, and that's pretty much all the borders of your object. So if you have a pretty complicated object, we're actually going to be working in this mode most of the time, but for now, press Z again and you get back to solid mode. And there are also different modes in that. Those are just two most common. If you want more modes than that, go ahead and click this little drop down list, the one with the box and 4 little boxes around it, and you have bounding box, wireframe, solid, shaded, and textured. But when you press Z, the solid and wireframe, those are two most common ones, so just stick with those for now. Now the next thing I want to come over or go over in the most common toolbox you're probably going to be using, you can't even see on here. What you need to do is put your mouse somewhere in here, anywhere, and press space. So again, click right here and press space, and once you do, this little toolbox, it's called, is going to pop up. This has a bunch of different things that we're going to be using to well, if you just look what they say, you're pretty much going to know what to do. You can add all this stuff, edit this stuff, bam bam. And another thing, some of these are pretty deep in, like if you're going to do transform, grab, move a lot, this little letter right here is a shortcut. So instead of having to go here, press space every time, and then go to something like select, border select, you just have to remember these shortcuts. But you can remember them on your own time. I don't feel like going through every one. So again, that's called the toolbox, and how you get to that is a space bar. Now let's move down here. Down here are all the context, and these little things right here, this, and if you hover over it you can see what it says. Usually, maybe I'm not because my screen recorder is messed up, but these right here are called the context right here. And what a context is pretty much different groups with different stuff in them. So we'll be going over these later. I just want to tell you that they're here. So look at this. If you click that button, all of this changes. If you click this one, it changes to a whole different set of links. Here's a whole different one. And also another point I want to talk about, you have your main context, these 6 buttons right here, which are pretty much your main panels, and you have subcontext, where are pretty much your sub panels. So in order to get to these, you just go to the main panel, and these are sub panels. So panels inside panels. I know it can get confusing, but hey, it's confusing, so just deal with it. And aside from that, the last main part is right up here. Now this main menu bar at the top is a little different than other main menu bars, in the sense that they're called headers, and you can have a bunch of different headers. And here's your drop down list right here. Right now we're in user preferences, but if you change to any one of these, your main menu bars at the top will change as well. So let's go to NLA editor and said file, just change a view, select marker and strip, and just click another one randomly. Outliner, you get these and those. I mean, they're all different. You can see it for yourself. But for right now, just go to user preferences, because that's the default one, and that's what we're going to be working with for now. Now, once you got your view, I just want to tell you this, you probably know this from other programs, but if you put your cursor between 2 lines, you can also resize this to see more or less. But that's just pretty much for custom views, and I like working with the default, especially since I'm doing tutorials. Everyone's on the same page, so I just want to tell you guys, if you want to customize your interface, then you can do it that way. Now, another thing you can do is get different views. Now everyone likes working with different view with these menus in different places. In your views, your main views are down here. You got animation, model, material, sequence, and scripting. Now you can either click one of these, like animation, and see the whole layout changes of your interface. So animation, scripting is a different one. This is especially for writing scripts. Or another quicker way to toggle between views is hold down Control on your keyboard and press the left and right arrow, like the one you play games with. So go ahead and again hold down Control on your keyboard and press left or right until you get to the view you want. And this one again is the basic one. It's called the model view. And if you lost it and you want to get back, just go ahead and type model right there, and that'll bring you back to the main view. So the last thing I want to talk about before we get into the good stuff is the last thing you need to know, and that's how to render a scene. And in 3D, working with 3D programs, what render means is pretty much your final output is called rendering it. It pretty much, after you're done creating everything, you render it and then you're done. So in order to render this, what you need to do is the easiest thing ever. All you need to do is hit F12 on your keyboard, and look at that. We got our final product right there. And aside from that, if you're too lazy to hit F12 on your keyboard, you can just go ahead and click this big render button, and make sure you're in this context right here. So if you're in the shading or any of these, make sure you're in this one. I believe it's the modify context, and hit render, and that will also render your block for you. So now that you know all the basics to Blender, we begin getting into the not boring and actually halfway fun stuff. So I promise that was the most boring tutorial, I know, but I had to teach it to you guys. So now that you learned that, we can begin creating stuff and having some fun. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.